Ladies and gentlemen, we will go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Laughlin Town Advisory Board. Today is the meeting of May 14th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. in this office. Do some housekeeping. These are to be read into the minutes, and items on the agenda may be taken out of order, and the board may combine two or more agenda items for consideration. The board may remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion relating to any item at any time. No action may be taken on any matter not listed on the proposed agenda today. All planning and zoning matters heard at this meeting are forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners, otherwise known as the BCC, and the Clark County Planning Commission, known as the PC, for final action. Please turn off or mute all cell phones and electronic devices, myself included. And within 48-hour advance request, a sign language interpreter or other reasonable efforts to assist and accommodate persons with physical disabilities may be made available by calling 702-455-3530 TDD at 702-385-7486 or relay Nevada toll-free at 800-326-6868. Supporting material provided to the board members for this meeting may be requested from our Secretary Tammy Harris at 702-298-0828, and supporting material is or also will be available at the Clark County Department of Administrative Services, 500 South Grand Central Parkway in Las Vegas, and also at the county's website at clarkcountynv.gov/LaughlinTAB. I'll go ahead and commence with a roll call, just advising that Kathleen Haas, our chairman, and Pam Walker, our vice chair, are not with us today and are excused. So I'll proceed with the roll call. Fred Doughton.
Here.
Present. Kathy Oakes, myself, here. Herm Walker.
Here.
Here. We have 3 members present, so we do have a quorum. Our secretary is Tammy Harris, here to my left, and she's available at 702-298-0828. Her email address is Tammy, TAMMY.Harris, HARRIS, at clarkcountynv.gov. Also with us today is our Clark County liaison, Mark Moskowitz, and he is also available at 702-298-0828 and also at 702-455-6173. His email is mark.moskowitz, mark.moskowitz at clarkcountynv.gov. So with this, we've gone ahead and called us to order and done our roll call. If I can please have you stand, and I'll have Fred lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Okay. All right. So then with that, I'll move forward to agenda item number 2, which is the public comment section of today's meeting. And this is a period devoted to comments by the general public about items on this agenda, those items that are already on today's agenda. No discussion, action, or vote may be taken on this agenda item. You will be afforded the opportunity to speak on the individual public hearing items at the time they're presented. If you wish to speak to the board about items within its jurisdiction but not on today's agenda, you must wait until the comments by the general public period listed at the end of today's agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please step up to our speaker's podium here, state your name and address, and please spell your last name for the record. It makes it easier. Although the meetings are recorded, we also transcribe minutes, and it's easier for Tammy to spell it, or if she has it spelled out for her. If any member of the board wishes to extend the length of a presentation, this will be done by the chair or the board by majority vote. So hearing that we're into the public comment for items on today's agenda, is there anyone that would like to step forward and speak on items that are going to be heard before this board today? Okay. You also are allowed an opportunity to discuss those items at the time they're presented. So seeing no one, I'll go ahead and close that portion of the public comment section for today's agenda. I'll go ahead and ask for, I'll combine these two, the approval of the minutes from our April 9th, 2024 meeting and approval of the agenda for today's meeting, May 14th of 2024, to hold, combine, or delete any any items. May I have a motion?
So moved on 3 and 4.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I know, a second.
And a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Moving forward to item number 5 today, that'll be informational items. I'd like to receive a report and updates from South County Liaison Mark Moskowitz on the Laughlin Residential Roads Rehabilitation Program Phase 2, Areas 4 and 5. Also, coming forward will be our bridge ribbon cutting on June 7th of 2024, and a recap of Commissioner Knaff's area events from April 10th, 2024. A recap of our Wings and Wildlife event on May 11th, and recap of the River Fund Duck Pluck, which was cute, event on April 13th of 2024, and any other updates that we have from Clark County. This is for discussion purposes only. Mark.
Thank you so much. If we'll bring up the PowerPoint presentation, just a quick few updates. So everyone is aware that the Phase 2 of the residential road project is kicked off on April 29th. You might not see paving for a few weeks or so. Right now they're doing more of locates of utilities and kind of striping and painting everything. So, but you should see some activity in those neighborhoods. That's going to finish out the rest of the project. This is about 6.8 miles and it costs about $6 million. So the project in total has been about $15 million and about 14 miles. So it's really good. Commissioner Knaff wanted to make sure that the roads weren't just a quick fix, it was a whole complete rebuild. So what we're really looking forward is both James A. Bilbray and El Mirage are going to be completely rebuilt. So those roads I know are in need of fixing, so we're happy that that'll be part of this project. If you want to go to the next slide, that's also the map right there, and you can see the lighter greens are areas 4 and 5. So 1, 2, and 3 has been completed. They look great. We're hearing good reviews from the community, so yeah. And if you'd like a copy of a map or anything, you can always contact our office. And as always, let us know if you see anything that looks peculiar, if maybe the contractor leaves any items out in the field, or if there's something that doesn't look or feel right, please contact our office and we can get in touch with the contractor. So everyone in the community is our eyes and ears because unfortunately it's a small staff here. We can't drive every road every day. So if you see anything that doesn't seem right, or if you have any questions of what's going on, let us know. You will get door hangers before any work is done, but as we know, there can be winds, so if you see them fly away, please let your neighbors know and work in the community with that as well. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. So some really exciting news, the Laughlin Bridge, we have scheduled with Bullhead City the ribbon cutting on June 7th. That'll be on Friday. There'll be more information coming out in probably a week or so with more of a schedule of events and what's going to be going on there. There'll be some food trucks and there'll be some food on the bridge. We'll have our first responders with Clark County and Fire Department and Metro will be there as well. So we're very excited for it. It's looks beautiful. It's going to be a great addition to the community. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for more information coming out soon. So the next thing, if you want to go to the next slide, on April 10th, we had a really wonderful time with Metro. They normally do their Coffee with the Cop, but we were able to do kind of a Laughlin substation day. And as you can see, there's some pictures there of a barbecue and a proclamation we presented to Lieutenant Rogers and his whole team. And Renee Yepes was a huge resource in that. Also, at the top corner, we have Father Charlie. We gave him an early proclamation for his 50th year of ordination. That'll be happening on May 25th. So. If you want to go to the next slide, please. So following that, we swore in our new Colorado River Heritage Greenway Park Trail Advisory Council. Commissioner Naff swore in the new 5 board members. We also presented a proclamation to the group for their efforts and what their goals and things are going to be. And then following that, we went to Get Outdoors Nevada. We went to the Pyramid Canyon Day Use area for a park cleanup. Metro showed up. We had fire and everyone was there. It's very interesting because we do a lot of these in all parts of the county, and usually there's like huge mattresses or couches or like gigantic things that need to be picked up. This park is one of the best in town, and what they told me is it was a bunch of little micro trash, so like the cigarette butts, the bottle caps, stuff like that. So it was very, very small, which they were thankful for, because usually they're hauling away mattresses and all kinds of stuff. So I think that shows how great the community is of keeping their park clean. However, we did pick up about 28 pounds of trash and debris. So that park is 28 pounds lighter and looks a lot cleaner. So that was a really good event. If you want to jump to the next picture. So the Laughlin Library, which, as I'll say and I'll put on the record, is one of the best in the whole district, they were celebrating their 30th anniversary. So Commissioner Naff was able to present a proclamation to Tanya and her whole team for just thanking them. And I want to thank Clark County Fire Department for having a fire truck out front. We do a lot of these touch a truck events where the community can go and see the truck and touch it and sit in it. Everyone can be a kid at heart, so they did a really good job with that. So, and then the next slide, please. So this Saturday, I want to thank the Colorado River Heritage Greenway Park Trail Council for really working hard to put together the Wings and Wildlife event in about a month's time. We got the council together, and then we got the event. I want to thank Tammy and her family for being out there and helping to provide some swag and items. I wasn't able to be there because we had opened up a new community center in Silverado Ranch, which is the first one in 30 years for about 400,000 people in the county. So that was another event, but Tammy covered for our office, which was so wonderful. I want to thank the Elks and Kathleen Haas for donating the food and the barbecue. It was a great first event. I think there's a lot of things that we're gonna do next time, so please keep your eyes and ears peeled for what's coming up for that. But it was a really, really good event. So, and then the next slide, please. This was the River Fund. I want to just thank them for letting me participate in the duck pluck. This was a good time for raising good money for the community. We were able to put some ducks on the dirt because it was a little windy that day, and they blindfolded us and everything, and we picked up some ducks. So I want to thank Mike Connor and the River Fund for oh, there you are, Mike. So for inviting me. I had a really good time. It was great to meet with the community and talk to them and brag about everything we do in Laughlin. So the next slide, please. This is something that is happening tomorrow. This is the the Envy Startup Envy. It's a road show for entrepreneurs. As always, Commissioner Naft is trying to bring programs and businesses here. This is we're working with USDA to have this entrepreneur kind of program where they're going to start here, and really anybody that's looking to open a business or starting a business or has questions about a business is a great organization. Tomorrow at noon, they'll be in this building, in this room right here, doing this kind of seminar and classes. So this is the first one. Please, if you can attend, I think it'll be a great opportunity. I will be there as well, and so will USDA and other agencies. So.
What time does it start here?
It should be at noon, I believe it starts. It'll be right in this room. So, yep, noon. So, tomorrow, the 15th. So, and then you can end the slideshow. And the last thing is we have the newsletters. As always, there's some good stories about the Laughlin Searchlight activities we did with the community garden, with the cleanup and all that. So, as always, you can get a hard copy, but you can also get an electronic copy. So just let us know. And with that, those are all my updates. So thank you.
Okay, and also the latest newsletter is at the back of the room?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
And that's at the back of the room for anyone that would like, for upcoming events and the remainder of May. Okay, all right. So then we'll go ahead and receive a report from Lieutenant Rogers with the Metro Police Department regarding activity and statistics during the past month and area crime concerns. Good afternoon, Lieutenant.
Good afternoon. Thank you, board members, for being here today. I'll go over the stats first, too, because that's not usually the most exciting part of the job, but I'll go over that. If you're into statistical anomalies from this year to last year, we had one less call for service. So if you're feeling lucky in a gambling town, I would suggest this is the month for that, because we had the exact same number of calls for last month as compared to the previous month last year. So we're right on pace. Things are good. We wrote 131 tickets for the month. Some of this did cover our increased manpower that I had down here for the I still call it the River Run, but it was the Bullhead Mayhem event, so we still staffed it like it'd be a very busy weekend for Laughlin. So between that, we had a few extra arrests, but nothing crazy, nothing violent occurred. So it was staffed well. We worked really well with Bullhead City and Mojave County and some of the extra resources that came to town for that. So it was a successful event for us and for Bullhead. Moving down, we had 2 DUI arrests, 1 arrest for adult for domestic violence, 2 juveniles, and then total bookings for us here in Laughlin was 22 arrests, with 2 of those being for a total of 24 being juvenile arrests. Are there any questions for our stats or anything as far as that from last month? Yes, Fred?
I have a question on the high school call for service.
That's where I was going.
Yeah. So what I did about a year ago is I added that as a stat line to my report because, as we all know, we did not have a school police officer, so I wanted to show how busy the school was and there was a need for that. So we do have a full-time officer right now. So that's just kind of a way that we're documenting that. So it was more important about a year ago to keep that track of that for me to get that extra resource down here. So now that it's staffed, I just keep it on there just so the public's aware of actual calls that come into Metro, because the school police do receive their own calls, so it may not be a exact replica of the calls that come in through school police. Those are the ones that come into us. That makes sense.
Okay, so just a question to me, because statistics aren't going to show that, but how is that working overall, from a proactive standpoint for the community and for the youth?
Really good. I've seen since the officer's been in place, I see a lot less fights, a lot less problems. I still meet with the principal, with Don, and just go over any issues. And so it's been really good. I mean, we're still there doing our community events. We just finished a hydroponics lab where I had an officer there once a week teaching kids, how to grow fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. So we're still embedded into the school, getting those things done. But yeah, having the officer there full time. I think for nothing less lets the kids know that it's not a 20-minute wait for Metro to get there, that there's an officer walking around the hallways and he's standing there as they get off the bus. So, as a parent, it definitely keeps kids more behaved, having somebody there.
Yeah, you can never measure anything that's proactive.
Yeah.
When I worked in LAPD, it was the same way. We're very proactive, and you can never measure that until it's gone.
Exactly. So we love having him there. It's good.
Okay.
The only thing I want to touch is we still are doing our monthly Coffee with a Cop. For this one, McDonald's has stepped up and has sponsored us. They're actually sponsoring the 10 stations in Vegas. So since we have a McDonald's here, it's in the Aquarius, so it's not like a standalone McDonald's. But it's the entire Metropolitan Police Department tomorrow is doing Coffee with a Cop at, 11 different McDonald's in the Valley, plus the one down here. So there's a flyer on the back table if anybody wants it, but those of you listening at home, we will be at the McDonald's tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
In the Aquarius?
In the Aquarius, yeah.
Okay.
So park, valet, whatever, come in and, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, like I said, if you want some one-on-one FaceTime with one of my officers, I'll have a couple detectives there. Renee, who does all my community engagement stuff, she'll be there. So we'll have a good showing from 8 o'clock till 10 tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right. Any other questions
questions?
from the board? All right.
Okay,
Thank you,
well,
Lieutenant.
Look forward to seeing you all there tomorrow.
All right.
All right,
Thank
thank
you. Receive a report from Clark County Fire Department, there he is, regarding calls for service during the past month and other fire prevention issues. Welcome. No report.
Thank you. It's good to be here. we just had a little fire call over at Colorado Bell that I almost didn't make it to the meeting for, but.
Yeah, I saw you rolling.
So last month, calls for service, we had, here in Laughlin, we had 179 calls for service, of which 8 of those were fire calls, the rest were EMS calls. That's down about 35% from April the previous year,
35%, okay,
which seems statistically significant.
right?
But when you're dealing with small numbers of calls like we are here, a handful of calls can tip the balance either direction. We also have changed our dispatch model a little bit so that we're not running quite as many EMS calls as we used to run. That was not targeted at Laughlin. That's been targeted, obviously, at the Las Vegas Valley, but we run the same dispatch procedures down here. So it's bringing our numbers down just a little bit. Once we get, and we've been doing it for about 9 months, so once we get here this fall.
Year over year numbers.
We'll be comparing numbers,
And what basically have you changed?
What we've done is we've had some of the less critical calls, the more non-critical calls. We're not responding to those. Instead, the ambulance is responding to those alone. And then if they need assistance, they can always call us, of course. But in order to shed calls, again, that was not targeted on Laughlin. That's been targeted on the Las Vegas Valley. But that was the dispatch model, just because of the busyness up there. And it keeps our fire units available to respond to fire calls and to other more critical emergencies during some of those times as well. So.
I see, okay.
Anybody have any questions about the statistics other than that?
Just basically the boat and the personal watercraft, where are those at? Are you aware?
So the boat right now is undergoing some repairs. It hasn't been here long, but it's still under warranty, so we're waiting for Munson, the boat manufacturer, to come and do some repairs on it. The personal watercraft are in service and available. They are over at Station 85, and they're up for service. And right now, we've got the boat up in Las Vegas getting those repairs done, and we should have it back soon.
Soon, possibly by the Memorial Day weekend, which is, one of the...
I would think so. I can't say for certain, but I would think so. I think we'll have it back for then, and I know we're planning on participating at the ribbon cutting ceremony on June 7th and having the boat there at that as well.
Right.
So
But that's the week before. Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure we'll put a push on it to make sure that it's down here for.
Yeah, that's usually
a
one
big
of our
weekend.
busiest weekends, and it kind of launches off our summer every year.
Absolutely.
And we want to avoid any type of incidents if we can. And their
Absolutely.
presence definitely, again, proactive.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
okay. Any questions from the board? Okay. Thank you very
Can we
much for being
can we get your name for the record? Chief?
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
John Redd.
Or, thank you, Chief.
And how's that spelled?
It's REDD.
Oh, see, I wouldn't have got that. Okay, thank you. All right. Let's receive item number 4. Receive a report from Jason Bailey with the Big Bend Water District regarding the status of our system. And I believe there's a report at the back of the room if anyone needs one.
Yes, there is. Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. Jason Bailey with the Big Bend Water District with a report for the month of April. As you can see, total diversions for the month were 232 acre feet, slightly up from April of last year, but year-to-date total diversions are 893 acre feet, up from 832 acre feet last year. So we are seeing a little bit more usage this year. Last year was kind of the lowest total usage, and so we're seeing a little bit more, but nothing really notable. Water system update, we're continuing to perform a chemical skid improvement, which helps with the redundancy of the system, and then the variable frequency drive upgrade as well. These both help with reliability. Last month I spoke of one additional development inquiry. There haven't been any additional this month. The financial update through fiscal year of March 31st. The Big Bend Water District had an operating deficit of a little over $2,000. So after capital expenditures and debt service, the debt balance increased $41,000, and so we're from 3.3 to 3.4 million. There were some SRF grant funding that was received this past month that we anticipated, but that helped pay down some of that debt. So that's why you see that. And of course, the fiscal year will end June 30th. And then I did follow up with our grant staff this past week to see if there was any information on the WRDA funding, and we don't have any update as of now to give on that. Hasn't been any movement on that. Last week or last month, I also announced that we have a new superintendent down here at the Big Bend Water District. His name is Jermaine Smith. He had a conflict today and couldn't be here, but we'll try to get him at one of the upcoming meetings so you can meet him. He started 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And then just the last bit of information is the Big Bend Water District budget hearing will be this coming Monday, May 20th. And that will be at 1 p.m. at the Clark County Government Center, but it can also be viewed online at the government's website.
Government Center in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas,
500
yes.
Grand Central Parkway.
Correct,
Okay.
yes. Yes, thank you. And you can go to their website, or they have a YouTube channel to watch that meeting there.
Okay, so the voting, will the voting actually happen, or are they just doing?
It will, yep.
For the budget then, on May 20th? I wasn't sure. Some of the agencies are doing tonight. I think, is the BCC's budget tonight?
Not aware, I don't believe so.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, so that hearing will be Monday at 1 o'clock, and it will be voted on then as well for the budget. That budget you can find that on the Big Bend Water District website, and I can send the board the link to that. If you just go to the Big Bend Water District website, Board of Trustees, and then there's a link to the agendas, and that supporting materials is there in the budget.
Okay. When you had under development inquiries, what is the address and the vehicle that those are to be submitted to you from?
Say that
In
one
other
more
words,
time.
where do we, if there is a development that's interested, where is that sent? Because you're tracking development inquiries for Laughlin
So those are any ones that have reached out specifically to our planning department.
to
Yeah.
Big Bend Planning.
Yeah, which is through the Las Vegas Valley Water District, but yes, through our planning and engineering department, those are the developers that have reached out specifically to that department.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any questions from the board? Herm, please.
Jason,
Yes.
again, with regard to development inquiries, on the 4 that have inquired, can you quantify what they're looking for in terms of permits?
Yeah, I know the Laughlin Bay Marina and Cottage Court, I believe they're multiple residential housing units. And the Commonwealth Company is a senior development housing unit. I believe it's 30 to 40 units on that one.
36, that's the
Is it
one that we
36?
were
Okay.
given the CDAC grant of $800,000 for, that I gave a briefing in, I think, a couple of meetings ago. So I'm glad they did reach out, because it was one of the things that.
So on Commonwealth, it's 36.
Correct, yes, 36. Yeah, I knew it was between 30 and 40, but
Is
36.
that for
yeah.
housing?
That's
Yes.
for housing.
Yes, subsidized senior housing.
And that cannot proceed because there's a moratorium on permits.
So there's not a moratorium. What there is there's infrastructure need. So if that infrastructure is built, then the development can move forward, yes.
Well, that's just linguistics.
And the solar plant, that would be 8-Minute Energy to
Yeah, and
reach
that-
out to you regarding their plans for construction and water.
Correct, and that's just a construction water request, and there hasn't been any since March of last year. They haven't reached back out to our planning department, but we kept them on there just in case they do. So
And I believe they will be. I'll be bringing some stuff
Okay.
up in the general comment section regarding that. Okay. All right. Any more questions from the board? No? All right. Thank you,
you.
Jason. Okay, and then we'll move forward. Here with us today, I don't believe we have Will Smith from Clark County Water Reclamation or anyone to represent him. So I won't be receiving a report. I did have some questions that I was going to ask him as he was giving his presentation today, but since he's not here, I'll just read those in to the general comment section, the questions and inquiries that I'd had of him. So we'll move forward then. And there's no report in the back, Tammy? No, okay. We'll receive a report from Mike Connor, there he is, with the Colorado River Fund regarding updates and current activities. Welcome. It is sometimes, especially in heels.
Madam Chairman, members of the board and staff, my name is Mike Connor. I'm the President CEO of River Fund. We don't have the word Colorado in there. But we are the Colorado River area, but our legal name is the River Fund Incorporated, just up for the record. I got a story to tell you a little bit about what's going on. For years, it's been 14 years now since we started up here in Laughlin. And for one reason or another, I've struggled all these years to be able to get grants specific to Laughlin, to help Laughlin area. And I mean the whole township, for the sake of being able to say to the community that we have a fund to help people that need help with all kinds of things. Oftentimes we find ourselves using grants that we have gotten that have no dividing line between the states. It's just a grant. And a lot of those times we have to use those monies here because we don't have specific grants. And I'm not picking on anybody, it's just in general. The one time we did have a lot of grant money was during the pandemic, of course. Clark County was very generous, and I applied for it and I got $100,000, and then they called me 3 days later and asked me if I wanted another $100,000. I've never had anybody do that on a grant. but we did then. But as destiny would have it, Governor Sisolak at the time, he ended the blackout, if you will, when the casinos were closed, and we never spent a penny of that $200,000. Oh. Nobody came to us. Nobody was seeking out any help at the time, and when he closed down opened up the casino business again, that grant was expired. Oh. And so we did our best to get it out there. But anyway, back to the point. We have been wanting to have some money set aside where it was just specific to the community. And wouldn't you know, here recently, it's been about 2 months ago, maybe 3, I was approached by Caesars Entertainment, the corporate head of Harrah's in Tropicana, gave me a call and said, we've got a foundation grant program starting up, thought maybe you might want to apply. And I said, well, why not?
Yeah.
And looking through the focus areas of the grant, we fit right into this thing. And so I picked a number of $15,000. I didn't want to go too far. I just wanted to just take it easy because there could be a lot of people out there that want to share some of this money. But I put some restrictions on it. In the grant application, I said I want to create a grant, and I think at the time I called it the Caesars Laughlin Community Service Grant. And that's what I titled it when I wrote the grant. And in there I said, I want this money to be specific for the boundaries of the Township of Laughlin as a community service grant to help those that need all kinds of help. In other words, it's restricted to the town of Laughlin, but it's not restricted in terms of what you can get out of it.
The scope, okay.
Of course, there would be vetting, there would be eligibility requirements and so forth, just like we do every other grant and every other help when we help people. They have to be a resident of Laughlin. They can't just be a worker that works in Laughlin but lives in the Arizona side. It has to be a resident of the town of Laughlin. And it can be for rent. It can be for a tire on a car that's blown and I can't get to work to make money for my family and kids. It can be for a lot of things. It can be for the cards, the work cards. Just a number of things. Maybe it's a prescription that you can't afford to buy, or any number of things. Utility bills, and the list goes on. We have about 18 defined ways that we can help people with the grant. And so I applied for it, And when you know I got it,
Good.
it was different, you know, because it was something that I was asking for that we'd never done before. And so right now, it's in the bank, and within the next week or so, we will have it online on our website.
Okay.
But there's a caveat. There's a catch. I indicated in the grant that I want it to be a matching grant, so I'm challenging the community of Laughlin to match it. Now, why would I do that? Because the community needs to be a partner in this project. It's their grant. It's for them. So for every dime that people want to contribute, we're going to have our website up so you can do that easily online. And it goes into a specified branch of our grant programs. But it's the reason I wanted to do that, make a partnership with Laughlin and the River Fund, is basically because of all of the different things we do. We can help people really well if they have a piece of it, if they have a partnership in it. It's just like being a piece of a corporation. And besides that, if you contribute to it, you have more interest in it, and we can make it sustainable. That's the most important part. I don't want that money just to go away. That 15,000, use it up, and oh, that was nice. I want it to stay. I want it to stay. Businesses, corporations, everyone can participate in donating to this and help the future of Laughlin with a stable community services fund for everybody.
Okay.
It's that simple. So tomorrow we're going to start. We've restricted it right now. We haven't been spending a penny of it. I wanted to come here first and tell you about it. And Jill is going to be taking care of it for us in the media end.
Okay, with the press.
Oh
okay.
yeah, you
Okay.
bet. And we'll kick it off tomorrow. Or if somebody needs some help, they need to call us. And if they're a Laughlin resident and they qualify, they can apply to our new grant. The specifics will come out on our website about how much money can I get? What all do I need to know? What do I have to bring with me? What qualifies? What doesn't? Because we have some other grants too that people are using, and that's our grant program for cancer and mental health issues and the veterans and all of those kinds of things. But this is special because if it's not one of those, it comes out of our unrestricted funds, and that's always up and down. So this time we'll have a war chest just for Laughlin. So.
Okay. And I'm just curious of staff. I mean, I recall during the pandemic, Clark County website had several different grant programs that were eligible for business, personal. Do we have, would it be possible to do something like a link to that since it's specific to Laughlin?
I can reach out to them and work with them. I'm not aware if they're still up because of that time frame, but I can work with Mike to find out more. I don't have an answer right now.
So I do know a couple of locations that I dealt with during CDAC was the Small Business Development Center.
Yep.
And also now there is what's called growamerica.org. And that is a grant program, an administrative program for grants in Clark County. I've dealt with them with some of my staff as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Majority of my staff live on this side, and so with USDA and everything. So that may be, would that be amenable to you to have a link to the River organization through that, if we can, if we can help?
Sure. Any help, we'll take it all.
Okay.
Anything we
problem.
can do, to get it out there and have people contribute to it.
Okay.
And then we'll have to look. I can't speak for Nevada. And on the Arizona side, we have the qualified charitable organization funds through the Department of Revenue in Phoenix, where people can take that off their income tax with their Arizona tax. But you don't have a personal tax here, for employees.
Yeah, personal income tax,
But
correct.
there might be a way to fit it into something. We'll see
Okay.
as far as that goes. But
Okay.
I'm just, I can't tell you how happy I am that Caesar's reached out to us and with one of their foundation programs, and it was just, I had this in my mind for a while, but I didn't have a way to really get it started, and they certainly did. So.
And that's great, like I said, especially, I know Laughlin years ago, we went through the program to become rural designated, which has helped us a great deal in grant programs. So hopefully there's more out there.
Okay.
And we appreciate you bringing
That's
this
it.
before us.
And I can't leave from up here without just
Sure.
addressing that picture on the duck with the ducks. The duck pluckers were amazing people, and I thank him. You know, I give him. You know, they ventured out there and in front of the public wore these outfits, and they were proud ducks. They really were.
Yeah.
And then when we had that wind blowing, we put ducks in the water just to test it. No, and the ducks went northbound.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That was so windy that day. And so we had to pitch 5,000 ducks onto the sand, and then they went out there plucking. Thank you so much.
Of course, very welcome. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. And like I said, it was really cute photo op you can
Yeah.
use for extortion in the future.
Yeah, right.
So,
I should have not put it in my presentation.
exactly. Okay, so we'll we'll move forward then. Item number 7 is just receive a report from Maria O'Brien with help of Southern Nevada regarding services.
She had to reschedule, unfortunately. Yep.
Is there anything in the back regarding it?
Yes,
there
there is.
Okay.
Yep. With the whole weatherization and their,
Right, because she has several different programs.
Yep.
Okay, so that's in the back as well if anyone would like those today. And do we have any out here on the go-round?
Yes, I believe we do. Yeah.
All right, great. All right, and then let's see, to receive a report from Kelly Lohr of Clark County Coordinator with UNR Extension regarding the status of programs and upcoming activities. She did reach out and say she wouldn't be able to make it here today, but she did ask that I read this into the minutes for the public. So this Sunday, which is May 19th, the Searchlight Betterment Organization, Searchlight Community Garden Volunteers, and the UNR Extension are hosting a work day at the new community garden at 200 Michael Wendell Way in Searchlight beginning early in the morning, 7 a.m. And any volunteers interested in assisting with filling the garden beds and tree planters with soil before the heat of the day, definitely, and the heat of summer are welcome. There are 8 beds that they have to fill, and many hands make light work. So we just want to let the public know about that. And again, that is this Sunday, not Saturday, but Sunday the 19th at 7 a.m. at the community garden in Searchlight at 200 Michael Wendell Way. Okay. And then moving forward, item number 9 is receive a report from Parks and Recreation regarding the status of programs and upcoming activities. I don't believe she's here with us today. Okay, so we won't be receiving that. Anything in the back? Okay, and there's something in the back for recent statistics. And then we'll receive item number 10, a report from Carrie Larson. She's going to do double duty. Laughlin Chamber of Commerce and also, oh, I'm sorry. You don't have to. I forget that. We did that for how many years? And then Jackie's here for the LTC.
She is. Good morning, or good, I've been saying morning all day long.
You're
Good
stuck.
afternoon. Carrie Larson with the Laughlin Chamber of Commerce. We have slowed down a little bit coming into our warmer months, but we do have a ribbon cutting / grand opening for Icon Solar coming up on May 22nd at 4 p.m. That will actually be at Kent Divich's personal residence. So that'll be something new for the chamber. We have a joint mixer on May 16th at 5 p.m. at the Colorado River Museum. So that is with the Bullhead Area Chamber of Commerce as well as our chamber team and members. As far as networking and education goes, we have brought Toastmasters International into the Chamber of Commerce. They will be officially joining tonight. And so 2 of their meetings per month are going to be held at the Chamber of Commerce. The first one, well actually the second one is tonight at 4:30 in the Chamber boardroom, and that's on May 14th and 28th. So if there are any businesses in the area, especially our members, that want to send their team members here to kind of develop some leadership and speaking skills, those will be available on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month. We also have an MCC Workforce Excellence Series coming up for our business breakfast on May 31st at 8:30 a.m. I attended one of their workshops today on employee handbooks and best practices for that. I have to tell you, it was a great use of my 3 hours. I was very pleased to have taken the time to head over there for that, and will attend some more of those as they have them available. It's a good resource for our community in general, and I think that more businesses should take advantage of that resource there at MCC, because they're really transitioning into doing workforce education for our community. So I missed last month's town board meeting. I was out on set shooting our movie that we are doing for the Chef's Food Fest that's coming up June 6th. So I spent the day out in Oatman with a whole bunch of other crazy people dressed up as cowboys and rescuing people who need to be rescued. I'm trying not to divulge too much. But if you want to know what happens, you can come to the Chef's Food Fest, which is June 6th at 5:30 p.m. There are still some tickets available, so please reach out to the chamber or go on laughlinchamber.com to get your tickets online if you choose to do so. Our Q2 results, so we're now 1 month into our second quarter. We have 9 new members for this quarter. 2 of those are from Laughlin. There's a total membership of 331, and we are slowly growing our percentage. I think when I started, we were about 31% Laughlin members. We are now at 34%. The $500 credit for radio advertising at Murphy Broadcasting still stands for new members. VIPs, the last general meeting until September is tonight at 5 p.m. at the mall. I encourage anyone who wants to get more involved in the community to join our Volunteers in Partnership. It's an amazing organization, and they get to do some really cool things. One of the coolest is coming up on September 21st, which will be the Jason Aldean concert, which they assist Golden Entertainment with staffing. Contact information is there for the committee president, Donna Engelmeyer. We still have the notary services there and fishing licenses. We have the business center and the visitor center. And I've left my ongoing projects at the bottom there. I don't have any status updates for those as we stand. But I look forward to seeing you all June 6th and next month. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Connie. Okay. And then we'll receive a report from Jackie Wallen with the Laughlin Tourism Commission and current events and activities. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you, Board, staff. It's pretty simple. We do have the Laughlin Air Show approximate spectators at this point. The Intercept study from LBCVA and McGuire Research, where they send the people out and do personal interviews with our spectators, has not been completed yet, but right now we sit at about 10,200 spectators for that event. Rockets Over the River is still scheduled for July 4th. We're finishing the final paperwork and COIs right now. We will be starting Message to the Stars in the next week to 10 days, and that will be advertised through the chamber on their website and on their Facebook page. So everyone will know that it happens, and I'm hoping we can get that message in the newspaper also. It's a really good program for people to send messages up to their loved ones on a shell of any size. The townwide concert series, we still sit only at Jason Aldean. I have a meeting today at 3 o'clock to find out what the challenges are for bringing in more townwide concerts. We do have 2 open spots for fall and 2 open spots for spring. The money is reserved for those concerts. We just have to find acts for LEC that will come and participate with us for the money that we have. So the partnership between LTC and Golden Entertainment is still waiting for acts to come, and we'll find out what the challenges are coming at 3 o'clock, and we'll be able to let you know. But as she said, the volunteers in partnership help with that, and they get free entry after they help everyone scan their tickets and get in and help escort everyone to their seats. It's a really nice benefit for them. I do want to let you know that the LTC is participating in helping our lifeguards and Coast Guard, U.S. Coast Guard auxiliary teams during the summer. We have I think it was 735 room nights that we're booking for free for the lifeguards. Bullhead City picks up the fee for the lifeguards' payroll, and we pick up the room expense. U.S. Coast Guard is coming out several times. In fact, they're coming out this weekend prior to Memorial Day to do more training, the auxiliary team, and we've also provided them rooms for that. So we are accommodating as much as we can to make sure that that water safety program stays successful. None of the memberships have changed, and I stand for any questions.
Any questions from the board with the LTC? No? We wish you luck on the concert series. Those are always great for the community.
You know, the whole community is missing them. I get more calls about concerts than anything else, but there has to be some challenges, and we're going to help them work through them.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything we can do, let us know.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. And moving forward, we had to receive a report from Tanya Brown-Worth with the Laughlin Library regarding current and upcoming activities. She's not with us today, but I will say that we catered Cinnabons to the 30th anniversary. It's 30th anniversary of our businesses too, so it was kind of a double thing. So we were honored that the library asked us to do that and stuff, and so we were grateful to be able to be in front of the community again for that.
Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you. And receive a report from Laughlin School System regarding the status of programs and upcoming activities. I don't believe Dawn is here with us today. And announcements of upcoming neighborhood meetings and county or community meetings and events. Do we have any announcements from staff or the general public?
I just have one real quick. I want to announce Silver Rider is doing free rides on their fixed routes 777 and 888 during Memorial Day.
On Memorial Day?
Yeah, so that's May 27th, and it'll be from 12:01 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. So if anyone is looking to take a safe ride or anything like that, please utilize our Silver Rider bus service. They'll be doing free rides that whole day and they do that every year.
And that's something if the press wouldn't mind putting that out there too for the community. I know the local residents would be appreciative.
And we have all the flyers in the back as well. with
And
the
there's
whole
flyers,
thing,
great.
so.
That'd be great for a press release.
Yeah.
All right. So then we'll move forward. Is there any community meetings or anything from the general public? Jackie?
I'd like to remind everyone that the Laughlin Rotary Club meets every Wednesday at 5 o'clock at the Laughlin Chamber offices. And we're always looking for new members who have energy, creativity, and desire to help our community in any way. The majority of our focus is on the youth in Laughlin High School, but we do some other things in the community, like we worked in the for Public Day service. For Rotary, we did the community garden. Fred and I all went out there. Fred's mad with a screw gun, I'll tell you. We built to do community planting beds and filled them, and it's just a beautiful community garden. And anybody that wants to play with us in the chamber, at the chamber on Wednesday nights at 5 o'clock, would be more than happy to have you there.
Wednesdays at 5?
Wednesdays
Okay,
at 5.
and then
yeah.
just another question, just from the standpoint, a lot of your presentations that you've done for first responders and things are happening, here before the board. And I'm just curious if you would be interested or if it might be possible for someone from the Rotary to go on our monthly reports.
Sure, I can do it.
Didn't
I'm
we
here
used
already.
to have them years ago?
That I'm not aware of, but we can look at past agendas, and we can always work with the county and the DA and everyone to make sure who goes on the agenda and all that in their process. So.
Oh, there is a process, because like I remember in the past, we would just, like UNR when Buddy retired, came off, and then UNR went back on.
Generally,
once they had someone.
Sure, if they've been on in the past and stuff, or we can go through.
Oh, I didn't know. I just thought it was us asking. I didn't know there was a process. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, but I'd be more than happy to update you on the Laughlin. We are the only community service organization here. We don't have Sir Optimus or Kiwanis, and we work really hard from our little team to make sure that things happen. So just let us know. We work off of grants, and we look for people to help us with matching grants and all kinds of stuff to get things done. If you remember, it took us almost 2.5 years to get all the money we needed to participate in a matching grant for the scoreboard at the high school.
Right.
Those are the kind of things we work really hard for, and make sure that they have all the needs necessary to work in the school area and library and all those kind of things. We help with everything everybody needs. So you just have to let us know that that you have a need, and we'll help.
Right.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and like I said, it just makes sense having, if we have LTC and Chamber and Rotary might be there too, maybe Kiwanis and Elks.
Thank
and
you.
Moose. Okay. All right. So then we'll move forward to planning and zoning. We have none listed for today. And then on general business, we have no items listed. Anything from staff? No? Okay. And then moving forward to the comments by the general public. If you remember, this is a period devoted to comments by the general public about matters that are relevant to the board's jurisdiction. But these items were not on today's agenda. No vote may be taken on a matter not listed on today's agenda. So we can't have a vote on it, we can't have discussion, but comments we can hear, but those will be limited to 3 minutes. And please step up to the speaker's podium and clearly state your name and address and spell your name again for the record, so it's easier for Tammy in the written minutes that she makes. And if any member of the board wishes to extend the length of a presentation, this will be done by the chair or by the board by majority vote. So entering into the comments by general public, those are items that are within the jurisdiction of this board but are not on today's agenda. Anyone that would like to take the podium, please, this is your time period to do so. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name's Clifton Biley. I live at B-Y-L-E-Y, sorry, and I live at 2485 Illumination Bay Place here in Laughlin. I know, it's a mouthful.
Yep.
I'm also the commander of BFW Post 243, and I just wanted to remind everybody that we are doing a ceremony down at the Avenue of Flags on May 27th at 11 o'clock for Memorial Day. I encourage everybody to show up and get back to remembering what this day is actually about. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So just, it's at the Fisherman's Park at the Avenue of Flags. We pretty much have had that every year on an annual basis that I'm aware of. But appreciate that giving us that notice. We have forgotten to put it out.
Thank you.
Herm, did you have something? Herm? I'm sorry, did you say something? No, okay. All right, so thank you, Mr. Blake. And then anyone else for comments by the general public?
So if you can remember the water flow committee that was started by the chamber,
Right.
We have our meetings still every month, and the last meeting that we had was very positive. You can be sure that the remainder of the month of May, you will have at least 3 units, 4 units. Basically, we are still in the double peak period, so in the morning hours, you'll have 4 units. We'll go down to 3 units about midday, and we'll go back up to 4 units in the afternoon. In June, we may not be going double peak, but they haven't decided yet, but you'll be assured that you'll have a minimum of 3 units every single day and more on the weekends to handle the influx of travelers and visitors. But you also know that the quality of water that's coming out in the stocking happened today. The quality of water is still good. The application for black fly with BMI is still constant, so that's helping with the black fly and the gnats. And what else came out of that meeting?
The
Yeah.
abatement programs, what
The
are our,
abatement program, yeah, so we've submitted through the abatement program through Bullhead City. They have submitted for 3 days of low flow, and we don't know what those days are actually going to be yet, but I can email them to you guys so we can put them.
usually
somewhere.
off-season, usually,
It's always on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to worry about traffic on the water. But we'll be going down to a half unit again to see if we can get rid of some
So
of
we
that
can
pupae
kill
and
the
larvae
larvae.
on the
Yep,
rocks,
yep.
yes.
Okay.
It's been working. We just think that the The concentration of the larva on the rocks is moving to different areas of the water, of the river. So we're trying to make sure that that stays more controlled. But the science is still working. Trout was deposited today. So we do have some little boogers out there eating them.
Okay, so great. And then the other thing is, haven't we done like a trash pickup of the river kind of in conjunction when we do the half unit?
Yes, when we do half unit, we do have the Colorado River cleanup.
Right, so you'll let us know on that too, so we can
Yes.
make a notice.
We'll make sure we get it on the Facebook page, and we'll send out what are those called? E-blasts, so that everybody knows.
The press had a
Yeah,
question.
and Jill will do it. We always put it everywhere that we can so everybody can come out. And if they just take one piece of the beach, it works.
Okay,
And the black bags and everything are provided. All you have to do is fill your black bag up and leave it on the beach, and they come by and pick them up. So it's not a whole lot of work except to find what you can. But the water flow looks really positive for the whole summer.
good, good.
Thank
That
you.
definitely will help business. Okay, is there anyone else for comments from the general public? Kathleen, please state your name and address for the record.
I'll get up here. Kathleen Whitehead, 2833 Beacon Rock Drive, Laughlin. And this is my usual comment, when I comment, about the recreation center, the new part that is supposed to be connected to the senior center, to the recreation center, the community recreation center. Where is that standing at? That's now 6 years old, that the money is, from what I understand, is in a pocket somewhere up in Clark County to us to build this community center that we need so much. And we haven't heard anything about what's going on with it. It's been 6 years now that the money was approved through those funds. And where's it standing?
And hopefully I'll have some answers for you here in a few minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we just need it, and it's a big thing. It's a big thing. When I talk to the community and stuff, especially the older people, younger, whatever, that's one of the first things they always ask about. Where's our community center? Where's the money that was approved? Where is it, and what's happening with it? So
Right.
I will talk about that from now until forever. until we
Okay,
get it.
not a problem.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else with any public comment? Okay, the board? Okay, so originally I was not chairing this meeting. I was made aware when I got in the building that I was chairing today. So I had made some agenda item requests. I had put them in writing because when I've done them verbally in the past, I tend to be rather verbose, and it's hard to kind of encapsulate what I'm saying. So I put those in writing. I've given them today to the members of the board and also staff. As you may be aware, as a public board elected, we are not allowed to have a quorum together and discuss things without that being in a public forum. So I don't necessarily mean to blindside everyone. However, I can't go and poll Fred and Kathleen and Pam and Herm one-on-one because that wouldn't be fair to the public. So what I've done instead today is I've put in writing agenda item requests that I'm making before staff, and also I want that to come out to the public. And so what I'd like to ask for is, typically I would think you would have about 3 minutes for me to give each one of these items, as there are 8 in total, separate. However, I would have gone to the board and asked for a vote that I be given. I shouldn't go over 3 minutes on any one item, but I will go as quickly as possible just to provide a background. So even though I'm chairing the meeting, I'm asking the other 2 board members, is that acceptable? Fred, Herm, is that acceptable? If I take more than 3 minutes to go through this? Okay, all right. So I just want to get that on record. One of the things that I was going to ask today, and this was of our water treatment facility in Will Smith, but he was not here, so I didn't feel it was appropriate to bring it up at that time because he wasn't here to answer the questions. But I am going to ask, I believe currently, I sit on other boards in the community, and he has a request for a letter of support for a grant for $5.6 million, a grant letter of support to different agencies. I don't know if he intends to bring that before the board or not. He isn't here today, so I can't answer that question. I do have some questions for him. I was going to ask regarding lift station number 2. whether or not he has the funding available for that for FY '24-25, as he's going forward asking for the easements that pertain to that property. My concern for the public and the constituents is that right now we're not going to see necessarily a rate increase because it's an election, but I would assume after January we're going to see some strong rate increases. If they're asking for a grant, what is coming in the rate increases that we have? The ERUs, that the commercial properties and the residential staff that are on a fixed, limited income. I can see where that would be between 15 and 25%, and I just want to get that information out there as soon as possible. So these were going to be my questions of him today, but he's not here, so obviously, but I would like to make note of it and something to make him aware of for the future. So I'm doing the general comment section as I'm trying to kind of conform and create an agenda. The following issues that I'm going to lay out here today are what I see, I would like to see for our agenda, and I also believe the board members would agree with me. So I'm submitting them in writing to staff in a public forum and to end up on our agenda. I think I can probably speak for each board member that we do want to solve these issues, but they have to appear before us in the public in order to do so. So I believe the first item that I have is to procure the BCC budget and request Clark County Assessor quantify the projected budget against the property value appeals as they exist. Present to the board these findings in a public forum. I'd like to agendize that as an action item because my concern, although I believe the vote from the BCC for our budget is either tonight or the following week, are those numbers, because I went into our budget, I contacted county staff, and those numbers are projected, and they did those projections like a year and a half ago. So my concern is we won't be ready as a community if there are the appeals from the tax assessment, which is our funding, and our services will be less. So I'd like to get that bounced against the appeals as they came out from the county assessor. Is there a difference? Is there not? I don't know the answer, but it's our job to be sure that we're prepared for that. So that's the first question, or the first thing I'd like to see agendized. And of course, the budget isn't in yet. It's only projected on the Clark County website. So we're not comparing apples and apples and oranges at this point, if there is a difference. Not saying there is, but if there is. So the second that I'd like to do is to amend our monthly reports and include updates. Several different things have gone by the wayside, and I'd like to see those added. For instance, we have the Clark County Public Works. In the day, with 20 some odd years on this board, we used to have committees. They have gone away. And with that, there has been a bit of a vacuum of information that we're not getting, that we're not keeping we're not apprised of, and we're not keeping the public apprised of. So in order to do our job, I would like to see the following added back to our agenda. And like I said earlier, when I mentioned up the Rotary, I wasn't aware that there was a district attorney process for who goes on our agenda and who doesn't, because over the years it's just been something we've asked for or not. So I'm asking for Public Works. Public Works is vital to the development of this community. We are getting the road updates, but there's a lot of other projects, because I chaired Public Works, that we're not getting. And so I would like to see them, get them more involved in the community so they can hear from us more. And then addition is flood control. In any development of any city or town, flood control goes first before anything. You can't insure it, you can't sell it, you can't do anything without flood control. We had a meeting here several months ago in which flood control came. They told us of what is known as the, the HICO and Thomas Edison flood control district, that with the Monument Park, the funding was available, was completely funded. It was supposed to be in the planning stages, but we haven't had any updates from flood control. And again, getting them involved in a monthly basis would help us with our growth and development. Flood control comes absolutely before everything. My fear again is seeing what could happen if we have another major rainstorm into the properties. And that Hyco Springs Thomas Edison is a direct, bowling alley into Casino Drive. So I'd like to add them. Another is a legislative update. We typically aren't having a whole lot of that. There was talk in the chamber of doing that for a period of time, of having a legislative update back in the days of Jackie Brady. So that tells you how long it was. And it was something that I was interested in taking on. But one organization that has not been on our board for some time, I believe it was in the past, is the LEDC, because they are doing legislative process, and I think that's something that the board should be aware of. Whether we're for it, whether we're against it, it's just something that we should be aware of. Because if there's an agency out there that's doing that, I think we behoove it of us to know what that is. Also, I'd like to ask for the quarterly Fort Mojave Development financial reports, and I'll lead into that with a few other things as well. The Fort Mojave Development Plan, if the public isn't aware, is basically a fund where all development for the Laughlin Township on assessed property values and sales of property go into that for and only for the development of Clark County, or not Clark County, but the development of the Laughlin Township. So it's not an access of a fund that the state has access to or Clark County. And for those of you, if you didn't remember, when the state did access it for $5 million for the Colorado River Commission, we sued them, and that's where we got our 5,000 acres from. So basically, that's not allowed to be done. So I'd like to see that on a quarterly basis. Another that I know affects me personally in my businesses, but I think also others in the community, is our Southern Nevada Health District. Our Southern Nevada Health District has a lot to do with, the community as a whole, what's happening when we had the pandemic, also boil water notices, different things that we've had over the years. They used to come before us and give presentations, let us know, meetings and stuff, to create a cohesive thing within the properties of what's done, and that hasn't happened in at least 8 years that I'm aware of. An additional thing that I sit and receive data from is the USDA programs. Many years we didn't have a representative, now we do for this community. It's programs that I've utilized for my staff. And I also see a great deal of grants that come to me direct email for USDA programs for solar, for assistance, for buying homes, for construction, for elderly. So there's a lot of programs that are out there that I think we're missing, although he's done a great job in bringing them before us. But if we could just make it where it's a monthly thing to add to our report. So if this needs to be submitted to the district attorney or to Clark County Council for that, but I'm just asking that would. So that's the second item. The rest will be briefer. I genuinely need and have a request for RPM to appear before this board and begin the process to sell the 5,000 acres of Southland property. However they want to do it. Do they want to do it pursuant to NRS 944 for direct development, or hold a public auction for the lands? And this is an action item. And if there's something that I can bring to the public's awareness regarding this, why I want to revisit it is that 5,000 acres, by now I'm sure the majority of the community is aware that the almost 500-acre development in Bullhead City, that development, in my opinion, should have happened in Laughlin. It was a project that was worked on by stakeholders for more than a decade. We did the background work, we did, the heavy lifting, and of course, Bullhead opened it, or welcomed it with open arms. Why would they not? So the bones of that project, like I said, have been in planning for 10 to 12 years that I've been made aware of. But if we can't get RPM to sell the property, put it for auction, we have no chance of developing. One of my concerns as to why there has been no action from RPM is that the money, the revenue, so let's clearly understand this, could be between, just at the rate that Bullhead sold their 500 acres at, could be between $500 and $800 million into the Fort Mojave Development Fund. That is much needed development funds for this community. And again, like I said, Clark County has no control over that. The state of Nevada has no control over that. So my concern is that we're being strangleholded on an asset that we have. And RPM holds the keys to that. And I never want to see a major development like this leave the state of Nevada, leave the revenue potential for this community. That's my job as an elected official. That's what I'm here to do, is to look out for that. Real property management. I'm sorry. My acronyms are vast. So that's something that I definitely believe that this community needs to hear from RPM on that and start the process, because the reality is, now that that 500 acres is gone, our 5,000 acres is worth a lot more, and is definitely being looked at by other major developers. Where one goes, another follows. And again, that would be a separate water district completely. No, no, disrespect, but, the distance and stuff, that would be its own animal. And we're talking the caliber of developer that could come in and do all that for us. So that is something that I'd like to see agendized. I would also, on number 4, request an update from 8-Minute Energy on development and additions to their projects benefiting the Laughlin community. This will be for information only, and again, I sit on several boards in this community. 8-Minute Energy has appeared to us at the chamber, where I sit on that board, and given us some updates on some of their developments. I believe they'll have some rather important announcements for the Laughlin community. I am aware that they have purchased additional land, intend to develop it, as I mentioned, with the water, and that they have some plans going forward. I know that they had asked to be on this board and to do a presentation, and they weren't allowed to do that. So they were returned and from the county and told they couldn't have it, is what I've been told, but I would like to hear from them. We haven't heard from them in some time. And for the public, if you're not aware, they are leasing land from us, and every month they make a lease payment that goes into our Fort Mojave Development Fund. And I think at last look, it was about $12 million that we had in there. And that lease is ongoing, so I would just like to get an update on that. And again, tying that back to the Fort Mojave Development Fund. Also, on number 5, bring before the board in a public forum the Clark County, this is for you, Kathleen, the Clark County School District and the Clark County Parks and Recreation Department. What I'm looking for is to, in effect, an agreement to absorb what we currently know of as the Bennett Elementary School cafeteria, the gym, and the offices into our currently existing Clark County Parks and Recreation Mountain View Park. I'd like to know if this can be done, and to carve out the remains of the 10 acres as either a private school or higher education campus, so that we can negate the reversionary clause that would return the property to the previous owner if it's not continued to be made a school. It was carved out when Bennett was built a very, very long time ago. When Kathleen had brought up the fact that possibly, the expansion of the senior center, it's my belief that if we can absorb those, there's an economy of scale to absorb those buildings out of the 10 acres that was established for Bennett Elementary into Mountain View Park, and by doing that, of course, the Boys and Girls Club and everything in the youth could add those facilities, and that would expand our senior center, regardless of what happened with the money or didn't. But if an agreement, a memorandum of understanding can be made, and we can negate the revisionary clause by still carving it out, making it available to either do a private school or higher education, that's something bringing before the constituents of this town, I think would be advantageous. So I'd like to see that as well. And then I'd like to request the owners of the power plant or their representative to update the community on the status of the 2,000 acres in the center of town. Rumors have gone back and forth for years, and we haven't been able to get any members from the power plant to respond and to quell them one way or another. Has the property been sold? If so, who are the new owners, and when will they present their plans before this community in a public forum? That is smack dab in the center of town, and it's a matter of importance to the community how they're going to develop it. We've done overlays of mixed-use developments and stuff, but what is their vision? And we've just had no luck at being able to reach anyone, so I don't know. I'd like to see staff try and do that for us as well. So, item number 7, this is unusual. In 20 some odd years, this has never been done. So I'd like to request the scope of duties, power, authority, and functions of the elected Laughlin Town Board. And I'd like to request that that be defined by whatever regulatory agency that applies to, defined by either Clark County, Nevada, in conjunction with the Nevada Secretary of State and the Nevada Attorney General's Office, or state legislature as required. And the reason is because in 2000, when I joined this board, we were elected via straw poll. And it was a separate room that you went to when you cast your ballot and you voted for who you wanted to run this little town's government. And all of those results were tabulated, and they were given to the county commissioner at the time, was Bruce Woodbury. And Bruce Woodbury took the voice of the people and he appointed those individuals. That happened all the way up my terms in office until 2008. In 2008, the governor that we had that was elected due to term limits was Governor Sisolak. Governor Sisolak, and at that point, we were elected to serve at the pleasure of the county commissioner. Evidently, we weren't that pleasurable to Governor Sisolak, and therefore he appointed none of the individuals from the straw poll and appointed his own board. Within about 6 months, I think, Fred, you were part of this as well. Within about 6 months, every member he had appointed came off, and the original individuals went back on the town board. But that community, or this community, decided at that they would draft legislation. They would create the Laughlin Town Board, no longer as advisory, but as an elected board. And with that, it passed, and we became elected. We're on the general ballot like everyone else. The president and congressmen, commissioners, everything. But what has never happened is there's no job description. What are our powers? What are our authorities? In the past, we had been an advisory board. However, I don't believe that's still the case, and I believe there is legal authority within our positions. However, it's never been defined. So I'd like that to be looked at, because unfortunately, we are subject to campaign finance laws, reporting financials. If we don't do that, we're fined, large sums of money for those type of things. So every other aspect, we're elected officials. However, in our scope and authority, we have no job description. And that makes it hard for us to know what it is that we should actually be doing from a legal standpoint. So I'd like to see that as an agenda item as well. And that is an action item, because I think that needs to be defined. We've been running without it since 2010. And so I think that's well past due. And then one other thing that I was made aware of that I had just kind of taken for granted. We do not have the position filled for the registrars of voters in Clark County for Laughlin. For decades, it seemed like Dottie Lewis did that, and of course, she's been gone now for 6 years. So anybody that wants to be registered for voting, Democrat, Republic, Independent, whatever, we don't have anyone to do that. And I believe that authority rests within Clark County, and so I'd like to see that before Clark County and before this board, and I listed that as an action item as well. So that'll conclude my requests. I have put them in writing because, again, I'm very verbose. It's very hard to put me down into sentences, and I apologize for that. And again, the reason I'm doing it in this forum is because I cannot and have not ever gone and pulled one by one the members. So when they come here today, like there's some type of game plan. You as a public have a right to hear it at the same time they have, and to get it on an agenda, you have a right to make your comments about it. So with that, I'll end my general comment section of this agenda. And is there anyone else that would care to speak on items within this board's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda? Or did I cover everything? Herm, please.
On number one,
Uh-huh.
I'm reasonably sure that the assessor would say, I'll take this to the Board of County Commissioners. You have no authority to do anything about what I have to disclose or not. That dovetails into number 7. That dovetails into number 7, which is requesting the scope of the duties, the power of authority, and functions of the elected town board.
I don't know what they are.
I have searched the statutes, and I can tell you, we have no authority, period. Period. I don't even know what we're doing here, for that matter, other than to meet once a month and listen to what's going on. You know, it's I agree that changes need to be made. I don't think that the changes can be made within the scope of what you've outlined here, because if they're to respond and respond within the scope of your request, they're going to say, in number one, it's really none of your business, I'll take it to the Board of County Commissioners, which would be, under present law, present circumstances, entirely appropriate. That's appropriate with practically everything else. Tell me what authority we have.
I agree, and you're the attorney, and I
We
respect
don't
your
have any
mind.
authority.
But the thing is have them tell us that, and then if there needs to be legislation drafted to change that, and if that's what the
Oh.
community wants, then that should be
There
done.
needs to be a massive legislative reform if you're going to stay in this particular governmental posture. Because this is a lesson in sterility. That's all I have.
I appreciate that, Herb. Thank you. Any other comment? Okay. I love opening worms, I guess. All right. So our next meeting date should be scheduled for June 11th at 2024. And then, Herm, I'll go ahead and hear a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye. And our motion's adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming.